Hello, and welcome to the We Get to Do This podcast. My name is Kaylee.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are your co-hosts.
In this show, we're going to dive into all things our lives, from our partnership to romance to entrepreneurship to growing our businesses together, our fitness journeys, and we're going to have a ton of different guests on that relate to what I just said in some way. We're hoping you enjoy the show, and if you do,
please feel free to follow us, leave us a 5-star review on wherever you listen to your podcasts, and enjoy.
And if you don't like the show, tough. Thank you.
Thanks.
Episode 25.
There it is. And I think we might have gotten our visuals figured out for at least the time being. If you're watching on Spotify, like we said last week, we now have a stream, like a video stream that you can see. However, the last 2 weeks we did it wrong because we didn't realize that our faces were going to be basically a reflection in the thing. So it looks like we're looking away from each other. It looks kind of goofy, so we apologize. But I think we've got it figured out this week.
Yeah.
That's going to look weird too.
Oh yeah, it's going to be backwards, isn't it?
We're going to be high-fiving
Oh well.
The wall.
Announcements. We are a quarter of the way to 100 episodes, which is exciting.
Wow. 25%.
We can almost end the show.
We get to do this.
We get to do this show until 100 episodes. I'm just kidding. This is creatine. I've been drinking this every day now for the month of January.
How are you feeling?
And I've been feeling very strong. Very strong.
You've been looking more buff.
Actually, though, I do feel like doing a creatine loading phase or time period once or twice a year is a pretty good idea. Although there's more research coming out on the supplement that it's good for brain health too, and so people are taking it every day, just all year round. I don't know much about that, to be honest with you. I just know more about it from the muscular standpoint.
You have been acting smarter lately too, so that would make
I feel like
sense.
I'm getting dumber this month. You kidding me?
And why is that? What have you been doing this month?
I've been drinking a lot.
Which leads us to the topic of today.
Drinking. That's what we're talking about today. I want to preface that, though. That was a good transition.
Thank you.
I want to preface that, though, by saying, when I say a lot, so I've been getting asked by clients at the gym in North Loop that I work out of, and by a lot I mean I think 3 people have asked me that. That's why I'm pausing and thinking for a second. And it's one of my clients, and the other one was a trainer and the trainer's client. So I've been asked by one client this, but 3 people have asked me. And then our waiter when we went out to eat the other day also asked me. What did they ask me? You might be wondering. They asked if I was doing dry January, because that's very trendy. A lot of people are doing it. Every year people do it. I think it's pretty awesome. I think it's a great way to start the year. Talk about the last 2 episodes we did, or first 2 of the year, and talking about reflecting on the year, setting a good tone, yada yada. What better way to start the year than not drink for a month? But my answer has been no. Funny enough, January is usually the month I drink the most in every year, because as a runner, it's usually my least active month. And then I always continue to tell people, I'm telling the audience now, that just because I'm saying I drink the most I do in January, it's not that excessive. I mean, I've probably had, besides the night with my friends. Last night, yeah. We've had maybe 1 drink a weekend, 2 drinks a weekend.
Yeah.
2 drinks a weekend.
Yeah. About that.
So, but normally we never really drink, because a lot of times we have Saturday long runs and Sunday runs, and and things that it just doesn't. We don't want to do it.
And we went 8 months without having any drinks even in our apartment.
Yeah, until
the last month we hadn't even opened a bottle of wine or anything here.
Right.
more just like in social situations or at restaurants or something.
Right. And so are you doing dry January? What's your situation? Like, you want to explain your...
I am kind of in the same boat. Normally, when I'm training for a race, I'm not drinking anything. I'm also not really doing caffeine leading up to races because I want to feel super strong when I'm in the race, and then I incorporate caffeine during the race so that I kind of get a jolt of that extra energy. Right now, I'm kind of just, I wouldn't say I'm really following anything and being like, yeah, I'm going to drink more because I'm not going to be drinking later. Sometimes it's fun to have a drink when we go out to eat. Like, we went out for a date night the other night and both had one. But just continuously realizing, like, how much it affects our bodies, and that even, like, drinking a mocktail and stuff is fun and is still a good replacement for alcohol. And I think today we're just talking about kind of we're going to be talking about more of like the detrimental effects of alcohol, and this is our personal
that we have,
and
yeah,
stuff.
the detrimental effects that we have experienced personally. Not like...
Not giving medical advice.
We are not a doctor. I am not a doctor, I should say. Kaylee is a doctor, but I'm not a dietitian.
And this is one of those things that, I mean, you can find studies or things to back up whatever your opinion is or whatever you want to hear or believe anywhere. So, I mean, there's a lot of things, even in Chinese medicine, there's some, like, wine, for example, is something that can help with pain and is good for warmth, like warming the body and helping with the yang of the body. So, I mean, that goes back thousands of years. And there's tons of studies out there that say that wine is good for the heart, red wine specifically. But again, you can find that type of research anywhere. We're just going to, again, talk about it from more of a personal standpoint, and also the fact that it can cause cancer and does have a lot of side effects that go beyond just the hangover the next day.
Didn't it just get approved as a carcinogen? Or am I imagining that?
I don't know.
I feel like I saw something where it was going to get approved as a carcinogen. I feel like the New York Times put an article out about that. Something.
Well,
which I don't know how it isn't yet, but...
Yeah, I mean, we talk about tobacco and, like, smoking cigarettes and how that's a carcinogen and negatively affecting the body, but...
And red meat. Like red meat too. But we don't like alcohol. It's wild.
What about red meat?
Isn't that also
a carcinogen? Really?
Wait, hold on. How do we define carcinogen? Isn't that
like cancer
causing? Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought red meat isn't that a thing? Am I imagining that? See, this is why you should make sure you're doing your research, not just listening to us, because apparently I might be very wrong on that.
No, I think people do say that it can cause cancer, but I don't know if it's labeled as a carcinogen. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. But again, that's why you can you can have people that say that veganism is the ultimate, or being a carnivore diet is the ultimate. And so at the end of the day, you need to do what feels best for you. But in our experience, it's very harmful and negatively affects our lives. And do you want to talk about your experience today and why this is also... We were already kind of going to talk about this, but then it just happened to be very pertinent because of our night last night and how you woke up feeling.
Yeah. Well, before we do that, I did find that the International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified red meat as a probable carcinogen and processed meat as a human carcinogen.
Yeah, and that gets into what kind of red meat,
and
the source of it.
I personally like red meat.
Yeah.
I think it's great for iron.
shout out to Costco. I've been sharing this. I found grass-fed ground beef for $5.70 a pound at Costco Business Center in Minneapolis for anyone who's interested. Because sourcing your food with quality sourcing does matter. If you're getting, ground beef from like Cub or something, that's not something that I'm going to be eating all the time versus like from a local farmer or like a grass-fed source.
Right.
So,
anyways, so there's an example of why alcohol can be bad, because apparently my ADHD habits and tendency get
brain fog.
Get way worse, and brain fog. No, so here's the thing. I don't know what you originally asked me. I think you asked how I felt when I woke up today, right? But I think that with alcohol and whenever I talk about pretty much any type of food, I am very much in the all foods fit. Like, you can find like a reason to do any food anywhere, right? If you're considering alcohol as a food and whatnot, I feel as though that's the one thing as a coach and as a person, whatever, I'm very comfortable saying that it's absolute poison and very bad for you. I've always said that. And I think that I had a mentor once tell me that he said whenever he drinks, he tells himself, I am coping, while he's drinking. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong, just something to think about. And he talked about how every time I drink, there is a reason behind it. I am coping with something every single time. I don't know how true that is. I don't, because we go to social settings and it's just fun to drink with friends sometimes, and and whatnot. And there's a whole conversation we had there, but that's kind of my overarching opinion on alcohol. Not saying that you should or shouldn't drink it though, right?
But with the coping thing, that makes sense, because I feel like if you're questioning like, okay, do I need this drink or this glass of wine at dinner time? Because I feel like there's some times when we're out with friends and it's just like, yeah, we're gonna have a drink, and like you kind of feel more settled in that.
Right.
Versus like, okay, do I really need this drink? And that's when I feel like that coping can come in and be like, okay, I'm clearly coping with something. And like for me, and a lot of people do like the nightly glass of wine, or if you've had a stressful day, a lot of people are like, man, I could really go for a drink right now or have a glass of wine. And if I'm ever thinking that, that's kind of my indicator, okay, that's probably a good reason not to have a drink, and what's something else that I can do instead of that drink, whether that's an Epsom salt bath or a sauna or talking to you or just some kind of other like coping strategy that's not alcohol. Because newsflash, but alcohol does not fix your problems. Probably never has, and probably never will.
That was deep.
Might be a hot take, but
that was deep.
There's no like world in which alcohol is elevating your life. And I know I get pushback from my patients a lot about how it's, their social time, or I have people that say it's their time to connect with their partner, or it's, their whole family does it, or their friends do it. And like, I hear you when you're saying that, but also, are you listening to yourself when you're saying that? And like, is that really a good enough reason to continue intaking something that is literal poison and has so many detrimental side effects? And I think that's up for every individual person to decide for themselves. And, I grew up volunteering at Hazelden, the Betty Ford Foundation, the rehab center, and just was around or exposed to a lot of people with addictions. And, if you personally are not ready to change, nobody can change that for you or make you do something that you don't want to do. So this is something that you have to decide that you want to do for yourself. But I also think it's cool because I feel like So I'm a millennial, Jacob's Gen Z, but both of our generations are statistically drinking way more than like our parents' generation drink. And I was just looking, and Gen Zers, I think it said, are consuming 20% less alcohol than even millennials are. So there is definitely like this trend towards not drinking.
Wait. Millennials and Gen Zers are drinking less than our parents were?
Yeah, but Gen Zers
Are drinking less than
specifically
millennials?
are 20% less than millennials in like my generation.
Gotcha. I think I heard you wrong. I thought you said that they were drinking more.
Less. At least according to the internet, which is very reliable. So, but that's cool, and I think people are finally seeing the side effects of it, and it's been really cool watching different NA places pop up, even just around the Twin Cities. You know, somebody that I know, Alex Zahner, she opened up Lucille's bottle shop in St. Paul. Could have looked more of these up too, but there's lots of different NA places around to kind of fill that void of, because going back to like having it be that social situation of when people are drinking. I remember I always it was hard because a lot of my friends would like to go to breweries, and I don't like beer in general. It's not even the alcohol part of it, it's just I don't like beer, and I just never liked to go to breweries because they'd have only beer there. But now it's like they have kombucha and they have different NA drinks that you can drink and still like be a part of it. So I think that's what people need to realize too, is that there's so many other options now that don't include alcohol that allow you to still be included in others and in group situations. So I never want to take you like out of your community. And I think with even eating, that can be a problem too. Like if you're vegetarian or vegan, I think that's a hard situation too, and kind of takes you out of being able to go out and do fun things with your friends because you're kind of the odd one out. And I think as we continue normalizing the behavior of not feeling like we need to drink and having other options, it allows you to still be with your friends and doesn't become so much of like you're the outsider anymore.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that's practice, right? I mean, I still struggle with that a little bit now, but I feel it. I don't know. I feel like I've gotten better at that. But when I first started drinking less, I mean, you know, there's a lot of FOMO. There's a lot of people are going to judge me, or they're not going to like me anymore. You know, things like that. And I feel as though, for the most part, we worry about that way more actually than like the group does, you know, or whoever you're thinking about. I feel like that there is the side of if someone actually does care if you're not, you know, drinking or whatever, like that's maybe a little bit of a red flag, I guess.
Check your friends.
But most of the time, like, and I've been this friend. Like literally last night, I was like, "Oh, anyone want a drink? Can I get you a drink?" You know, because like when I'm drinking, I'm definitely like, "Oh, I would love more people to be drinking with me." You know.
Yeah.
And that's like if I'm having like a glass of wine, and it's not. It's you know, it's like that social thing, but
also that's even like if you're going to the gym, for example, and you're really worried about what other people are like if people are looking at you or judging you. And just a reminder that no one is judging you more than you're judging yourself, and everyone else is worried about themselves. And especially if you're in a group that's already drinking, chances are they're not paying that close of attention to you anyways. So at the end of the day, like, just do what you want, and you can have fun not drinking in social situations too. Like, I'm not gonna lie, yes, it is fun, and it can be good for helping with like group anxiety and things like that. But I think it's important to realize like, okay, how am I going to feel the next day? And would I choose to do this again tomorrow? And that's where when we don't drink because we know it's going to be affecting our performance.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to for me. I don't, to be honest with you, even with clients and friends, and I really don't care if people drink. I really don't.
Right.
It's just not my bag at all, at all. And what I like is, in general, I just get so much more done. Period. Like my anxiety is way down when I don't drink. My ability to focus is way better. My eating habits are better. My fitness is better. My work is better. Everything is better. Everything. Sleep is better. I go to bed at more consistent time. Like I just feel better. Skin's better.
Yeah.
So like that's just why I do it.
Even last night we went to bed at close to midnight, and then we slept until almost 8, which for us is very late. And that was a
Right.
late start to our day.
Yeah, and I felt that, and I didn't work out today. Which
Yeah.
now these are the things like, again, when I was talking earlier about how, like, oh, January is when I drink the most or whatever. Like, tomorrow is literally the only day I have off in January or today is the only day I have off of exercise, and I was like, well, I know I'm not going to be drinking much anymore, so I'm going to have some drinks tonight, as in last night. So,
Yeah.
I did plan for that. It wasn't like a spur of the moment thing. I definitely planned for it.
Yeah. And it's even crazy, like this morning when we woke up, and if you have, an Oura Ring or Garmin or any kind of like watch, just how much all of your stats just tank.
Yeah.
So like my HRV rate, the heart rate variability was down tremendously. I still got, 7.5 hours of sleep or so, but like the sleep score was way down. It was like not
Breath rate
didn't go into deep
skyrockets.
sleep. Yeah, everything's just off. So it's like it's more than just how you feel. Like it's literally changing everything. And if you're not getting a good night's sleep, that's then where like the brain fog can come in, and then you're getting more anxious. And it's just like it's up to you how you want to start off your week or spend your weekends. But I think as like with our jobs and with goals, it's just not how I want to spend my time and how I want to feel.
Well, and it's not like I, 2 years ago or whatever, made a decision, came to a consensus kind of like, okay, what kind of inspiration / leadership, whatever, do I want to demonstrate to my clients? Like, who's going to follow me? And that was another thing too, where I was like, I don't want to, like, if my personal trainer or run coach was heavily drinking or like even doing a drink a night or something like that, I don't know, I would probably be a little like, that's just me personally, like weird.
Yeah, well, I think we like being the role models that we want in our lives.
Yeah.
Which is why we exercise. It's why we eat the way we do, and
I was just gonna say it all ebbs and flows though too.
Yeah,
like,
we're
there's so much stuff that we haven't experienced yet that.
And we're very not perfect either.
Yeah.
And this is not us saying that we're never gonna have a drink again either, because
No, I've made that very clear. I'm
definitely not.
I'm not sober by any means. I'm not trying to judge that either.
Yeah.
And I have had that conversation with myself so many times where I'm like, should I go like completely sober? And I think about it, and for me, it's just not something I need to do right now, at least. So.
Well, and being sober too, I feel like specifically, generally from like the older population, if you hear the word sober, it's like, oh, you must have like been an alcoholic or you must have had a problem. But it also doesn't need to mean that. It can literally just mean I just don't want to drink anymore, or I have experienced the negative effects. And like you don't need to have a quote problem to stop drinking either. And the cool thing is you get to do that whenever you want. because nobody's forcing you to drink.
Yeah. And you don't, I mean, I talk with clients about this a lot too, about like cutting things out as opposed to adding things in, and just like language and how we talk to each other and ourselves and whatnot. And like, you don't have to cut it out indefinitely. You don't have to stop. You don't have to, right? It's the same thing as if someone doesn't want to eat fast food, they're eating fast food every single day, saying I'm never eating fast food again, like that's probably not sustainable, right? It's more of this, I'm gonna take a break. That's essentially like what we do, I feel. We just get into like these modes of training and whatnot, and we're like, all right, we're gonna prioritize this now. And to be honest, I think part of the reason I train as hard as I do and I picked the career path and whatnot I did is because I would probably be drinking or smoking a lot. Maybe not, I don't know. But I know that they help me not do things that I don't want to do like that. So, just again,
And I like we said about like adding into, because even with the fast food example, or people will say, you know, I'm not going to have any more desserts or sugar. But it's like, instead of being like, I'm never going to go eat fast food again, how about it's this week I'm going to make 3 meals at home.
Right.
And then automatically you're going to start cutting out the going out to eat. Or instead of saying I'm never going to drink again, how about you start looking at the situations in which you were drinking, you know, going to breweries or whatever situation, that bars. How about you start planning like game nights with your friends and making a fun mocktail or some kind of like fun drink in as a replacement. So instead of looking at the lack of, okay, now I'm not going to spend time with my friend, quality time with my friends or my partner, and not have this fun drink, we're just redirecting that energy and adding other things in.
Yeah.
So it is just about like the mind shift and rephrasing words, like you said.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I also think it's important to mention that it's kind of a little bit off topic, changing the subject now, but as an athlete, and I would argue everyone is an athlete. I'm not saying to, everyone's an athlete if you can move and whatever, work, right? Anyways, recovery is our number one thing that we need to focus on, right? I had a mentor once talk about, he was giving a lecture at a college to a soccer team that he invited me to watch him, and he was lecturing to the soccer team, and he was talking to them essentially about how, like, you guys are at this level right now where everyone you're competing against is doing pretty much the same thing performance-wise, training-wise. The difference is going to be how well you recover compared to the other people. Are you going to be people that are drinking, this is college specifically, right? Are you going to be drinking on the weekends? Are you going to be staying up, what kind of food are you eating? All of that, right? And I think that's very applicable to our life and our world, right? It's something that I advertise a lot and I'm very big on. Like, you can train all you want, but you're not out training, poor sleep, poor diet, et cetera, right? And the amount that your quality of sleep goes down when you drink is crazy. And that's something that I have found, and I'm only 26, but as I've gotten older, I can't do it. Like, if I had that one drink Friday night and ran 10 miles the next morning, and it was so much worse. It was one drink.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's not like it's a binge drinking thing where you start to feel the effects. It's literally one.
Yeah.
Where like, holy smokes.
You feel it, yeah. And it's to me, it's like, again, what level do you want to be at? Where do you want to perform? This isn't even like fitness. It's jobs and anything.
Yeah.
How
are you going to perform for your kids?
Right. If I'm not recovered, I am not as good of a human being. There's nothing to do with alcohol. And a lot of that comes down to sleep. Right. So I think that's something that is very important to remember too and understand as well. Not to get off
Yeah.
a little bit, but
No, that's absolutely true. And even if it's once a week, that's still then 4 nights of the month minimum that you're having poor sleep. And you also don't just immediately bounce back the next night and then everything's just better again. So technically you're spending, this is not scientific, but like a week of the month having poor sleep. And it's like, think of what you could have done with getting better sleep, better recovery, performing better at work, performing better in your athletic life, for your partner, whatever it is. It's important.
yep. Episode 25.
Happy dry January.
Happy dry January if you are participating. And if you're not,
Those are our hot
cool,
takes.
good for you. I mean, it is kind of ironic that it's like we started this episode and I talked about how I've been drinking like the most, and then we went to talk about how I don't like drinking because sometimes we're coping with things. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But every year I drink less and less. That's definitely a fact.
Yeah, and you have to do what feels best in your body. And like we said, that's just what feels best in ours. And it's been fun drinking more for the month, but also it's time.
But I'm also very over it. So I'm going to do dry February, I think. Actually, I'm probably not going to drink now for a while.
We
I
went
have a bachelor party
months
in May
and months
or
and months.
March, so I probably won't drink till then now, to be honest.
We went a long time without drinking.
2 types of people in this world, Kaylee.
What's that?
I forget, what are they? Salamander and rabbit?
Oh, yeah.
Salamander. Steady. Grind. Bunny. Quick. Burst of energies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you all got that,
And,
right?
yeah, you all understood where I was going with that, right? Again, brain fog. We have an event coming up. If you want to hear more about what I meant by that, ask me sometime in person, I guess. But we have an event coming up, February 1st. It's at 9 a.m. It's at Hotworks Northeast.
It's gonna be hot.
Location. It's gonna be spicy hot. Group run is at 9 a.m. and then we're all sauning after at 9:45. Kaylee, the
Why are you
beautiful
pointing at me?
Element
Oh.
rep is going to bring Element as well, so there'll be Element
Electrolytes for all.
So be there, be square. I think that's all we got this week.
And it's free. You can just come.
It's free.
But it's our first official we get to do this event, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Our first community event, and we're hoping to do definitely more.
2 or 3 this year, I think, was legal.
Yeah. This is our first one, so we would
come.
love if you
Bring friends.
showed up. Yeah, it's welcome to everyone. But if you're one of our pod listeners, then you get VIP access. So I don't know what that means, but maybe I'll give you 2 element packs.
Yeah. See you then. And
Wait, what's your we get to do this?
I was gonna say our next guest on the podcast is gonna be dope as hell too. So
Yeah.
get excited about that one. My we get to do this moment. Do you have one right now?
Yeah.
I got it. Mine is
Mine
we went
first.
to Six Smith
Oh yeah.
in Wayzata Friday night, Kaylee and I, and had a drink together and had a course meat like a what's that called where they bring out multiple meals.
Like it was like a 4-course meal
Yeah.
basically. He made it into a 4-course meal for
Even got
us.
dessert there. We were there for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it was an
It
experience.
was such good quality time.
It felt like we were on vacation, but we were 15 minutes away from home.
Yeah.
And he celebrated our birthday and our anniversary there. It's neither of those. And we never said that it was our birthday or anniversary,
He
but
just really liked us.
he wanted it to be our anniversary and our birthday.
Really liked he loved love.
Yeah.
He did say that when you were in the bathroom, he said something about how like we seem like a really good couple or something along those lines.
Yeah, he said quality.
Quality.
But shout out Nathan at Six Smith Wayzata,
If
because
you
that
go.
was a great experience.
Ask for him.
Yeah, ask for Nathan. Say Kayleen Jacob sent you. He won't know that, but
You might.
it's okay.
What's your week to do this moment?
That's a really good one, and that has left me on a high all week. But since you already said that, I'm just excited because business-wise, I just hit my most appointments for a month ever for the month of January.
Woo!
Which is exciting because January, like, my specific clientele are athletes, and people aren't really training for the races as intensely right now because I have a lot of people that come like leading up to their races or like for injury purposes or after for recovery. So I'm just proud that in a month where it's a lot of people's downtime because it's negative 500 degrees outside, so a lot of people aren't even, well, our friends are still running outside. It's absurd. But anyways, people aren't doing as much activity. So it's exciting, and I'm really proud of that. So that's my week to do this moment.
You're awesome. I'm excited about your business and where it's going.
Me too. You just have to believe, Because if you don't believe in yourself, other people are not going to. And I keep learning that over and over. It's hard. Anyways, thanks for listening, and we're excited to see you all on February 1st at 9 a.m. at Hotworks Northeast, and also excited for our guest that will be on next week, so make sure you check that one out.
We get to do this, episode 25. We'll be back, just us two, in like 2 weeks.
Peace.
Bye. Wow, Kaylee, we made it through another episode. What do you think?
We would love if you would go give us a follow, a 5-star review, and comment on the episode and what you liked and what you'd like to see more of.
See you next time.
We get to do this.